What are the qualities of a good teacher?
Okay, this is really simple, and I've said this to various boards before. If you give me a PhD, there's someone I can put in front of a class that's got a lot of very specialist subject knowledge. You give me a good human being, there's someone I can put in front of a class that will be respected and is respectful. I can train them to be a teacher. If they don't have those instincts, those abilities to be a good human being, the empathy, the understanding, the care, if they don't have that, how am I going to turn them into a teacher? It doesn't matter how clever they are or how many PhDs they have behind their name. If they're not a good human, that's where I'm struggling. So I would say, what makes a good teacher? That exact same thing that makes a good human being. And if we can start with a good human being and give them the subject specialist knowledge and then tease out those innate qualities that they have that make them a good human being, tease them out and develop them, then in the classroom we have a good human being who cares for the students, who generally wants what's best for them, is interested in teaching them and won't teach them the way they want to learn. They'll teach the way the kids need to be taught. Not necessarily, how I learn isn't necessarily how you'll learn. But if I'm a good human being, I'll understand that because I'll have empathy, I'll have sympathy. I'll understand that the 20 children in front of me are all individuals, all with their own histories. And so I'm not going to stand there and say, look, I like it best when we memorize the times table in maths. That's how I did it. That's how you're going to do it. So I guess it's taking those good human beings and developing them.
To be good teachers. But how does a school, so let's take a fictional school in Karachi, and say that they want to build a pool of good teachers starting with exactly that model of good human beings. What is the testing or onboarding or recruiting process for that? What does that look like? Like, how do you find those good human beings? How do you test in a limited environment? Because teaching is it's a test of patience also, day in and day out, same kids, kids can be rowdy, whatever, right? You can't test that in 30 minutes or 60 minutes or 90 minutes. How do you test that to ensure they're good? And then how do you onboard them? And how do you deploy? I mean, if you were to build it from scratch, how would you do it?
So if I was starting from absolute scratch, so we do need a base of an education. We've got to build from something.
So you'd need a minimum of a bachelor's degree.
A minimum of a bachelor's degree.
Okay, so now we've restricted the pool to, let's say, a smaller group of people.
Yeah. And from that bachelor's degree, we'd want to do a demo lesson.
So pause 1 second. With the bachelor's degree, do they need to have a certain years or age? Do they need to be of a certain age or above?
No.
So they can be 22?
Yes. Some of the best teachers I've met might be young and enthusiastic. Some of them are old and wise.
So it's a combination.
Yeah. So there is no blueprint to the perfect lesson or the perfect teacher. I've known teachers follow the rule books of setting up objectives, starting the lesson with a warm-up, and then changing their activities to appeal to different learning styles every 10 minutes. And then they'll do a plenary. So they have the whole scaffolding of a lesson there. And they're doing everything right that's in the textbook, but it's still not a great lesson. And then you'll have someone come in who does nothing that's in the scaffolding, and the kids learn a huge amount. So there is no exact blueprint. There are many ways to skin a cat.
And age is not a function of that.
No. The issue with secondary schools, though, is the age difference between your oldest students
and the teachers
and the
correct.
teacher, and that's where lines can be blurred because the older students see themselves as young adults.
Yeah.
And those young adults fresh out of university don't have the experience to understand that, it's a professional role you're in.
So secondary school, high school, you would look at age as a concern, but for the others you wouldn't.
Yeah.
So now you've got a bachelor's degree. You've distinguished between age. What do you do next?
Okay, so it's an assessment of them as a person.
And how do you assess that?
Some places do it through psychometric testing. I'm not a fan of that at all.
Why?
because it's a guide and it's how you as a professional interpret the data. And without too much training, you can be literal on the data and pigeonhole someone for an answer that they thought about for 3 seconds for something that they did. Whereas if you use it as a guide, they might never do that same answer or that same action again.
Right.
So I think the person that's handling the testing needs to be aware of it. So